If you thought Aunt Mira would accept defeat, you don't know power. If you believed Ayana's past was buried, you were wrong. Welcome back to part 2, where every secret has a price, and some debts can never be paid. What happened when Ayana kissed her children goodnight? What name did Aunt Mira find in the darkness? The storm isn't over, family. It's just beginning. The morning after the wedding felt surreal. Ayana woke to find Taemin already awake, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at his phone with an expression she couldn't read. "Morning light," she whispered. He turned and for a moment his face softened. "Morning, Mrs. Kwan." The name felt foreign on her tongue, like trying on someone else's life. She sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. "What's wrong?" He hesitated, then showed her the screen. It was a news article with their wedding photo, taken by someone at the small garden ceremony, despite the private guest list. The headline read, "Kwan Empire, heir marries unknown. African woman in secret ceremony, family silent." Ayana's stomach dropped. They found out. Taemin set the phone down. It was always going to come out, but this fast. Someone at the wedding sold the photo. She felt the walls closing in again. "Your family, what will they do?" He reached for her hand. "What they've always done. Try to control everything. But this time, I'm ready." She wanted to believe him, but 5 years of running had taught her that powerful families didn't lose gracefully. The twins burst into the room, still in their pajamas from the night before, jumping onto the bed with squeals of delight. "Mama, are we a real family now?" Soo-yeon asked, her eyes bright with hope. Minjin climbed onto Taemin's lap without hesitation. "Daddy, can we have pancakes?" Taemin froze at the word. It was the first time Minjin had called him that. His eyes filled with tears, he tried to blink away. "Yes," he said, voice thick. "We can have anything you want." But across the city, in the Kwan family estate, the mood was far from celebratory. Chairman Kwan sat at the head of the long dining table, the newspaper spread before him with the same wedding photo. Across from him, Aunt Mira sat in stony silence, her coffee untouched, her face a mask of cold calculation. "This is a disaster," Chairman Kwan said quietly. "He's married her, in secret, without family present. It's a public humiliation." Aunt Mira's lips curled slightly. "It's more than humiliation. It's rebellion, and rebellion must be crushed." Her brother looked at her sharply. "You've already done enough damage, Minyoung. The custody case failed. The forgery was exposed. You're on suspension from all family matters." Her eyes flashed. "That was phase 1. This is phase 2. He leaned back. "What are you planning?" She smiled, cold and predatory. "I'm planning to remind that woman exactly why she ran the first time. And this time, when she runs, she'll take nothing with her. Not the children. Not my nephew. Nothing." That afternoon, Ayana received a text from an unknown number. Her breath caught. It was a single photograph. The image was old, grainy, from nearly 8 years ago. It showed a younger version of herself, thinner, with shorter hair, standing outside a medical clinic in Lagos. The kind of clinic that handled things discreetly, things that wealthy families paid to make disappear. Below the photo, a message. "Does your new husband know about this? Does he know what you did before you met him? Or should I tell him myself?" Her hands shook so violently she nearly dropped the phone. No, 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 no. That part of her life was buried, gone, erased. How did anyone find this? Keisha, who was visiting with groceries, noticed immediately. "Ayana, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." Ayana couldn't speak. She just handed over the phone. Keisha's face drained of color as she read. "Oh God, who sent this?" "I don't know," Ayana whispered, "but I know who's behind it." Keisha grabbed her shoulders. "Listen to me. You need to tell Taemin, right now, before she does." "I can't. He'll look at me differently." "He won't. But if he finds out from her, from some twisted version she creates, then you lose everything." Ayana knew she was right. But the shame, the fear, the weight of that old decision, it crushed her. "That was a different life, Keisha. I was 19, alone, terrified. I didn't have options." "I know," Keisha said gently, "and he will too. But only if you tell him first. Tell him the truth. On your terms." When Taemin came home that evening, the twins were already asleep. Ayana was sitting in the dark living room, the only light coming from the city outside. He knew immediately something was catastrophically wrong. What happened? She didn't answer. She just handed him her phone with the photo still open. He stared at it, confused at first, then his expression shifted to concern. I don't understand. What is this? She took a shaky breath. That's me. 8 years ago, in Lagos. Before I came to Korea. He waited. She continued, voice breaking. I was 19. I had just lost my grandmother, my only family. I was alone, broke, living in a single room with no future. And I was pregnant. His eyes widened. From someone who didn't care, someone who used me and disappeared. I couldn't bring a child into that life. I had nothing to give, no money, no home, no hope. So I made a choice, the hardest choice I've ever made. The silence stretched unbearably. She couldn't look at him. I'm not proud of it, Taemin, but I can't undo it. And now your aunt has found out. She's going to use it against me, against us. She's going to paint me as a monster. He finally spoke, voice quiet. How did she find this? Ayana shook her head. I don't know, but she's threatening to tell you herself, to twist it into something it wasn't. Taemin set the phone down carefully. Look at me, she couldn't. Ayana, look at me. Slowly, she raised her eyes to his. His expression wasn't disgust or judgment. It was pain. For her. You were 19, he said softly. Alone, grieving, terrified. You made an impossible choice in an impossible situation. That doesn't make you a monster. It makes you human. Her tears spilled over. You don't hate me? He pulled her into his arms. I could never hate you. But I hate that you went through that alone. I hate that the world put you in that position. And I hate that my family is trying to weaponize your pain. She clung to him, sobbing into his chest. I was so scared to tell you. I thought you'd leave. He held her tighter. I'm not leaving. Not for this. Not for anything. But we need to control this narrative before my aunt does. The next morning, Taemin called an emergency press conference. His legal team tried to talk him out of it. Sir, responding to blackmail only legitimizes it. We should ignore this. No, Taemin said firmly. Silence is what she wants. Silence means shame. And my wife has nothing to be ashamed of. Ayana stood beside him, terrified but resolute. The press room was packed. Cameras flashed as they entered. Taemin stepped to the microphone, Ayana's hand in his. I've called this conference to address a malicious attempt to weaponize my wife's private medical history, he began, voice steady and cold. 8 years ago, when she was 19 years old, grieving and alone in a foreign country, my wife made a deeply personal medical decision. That decision is nobody's business but hers. The room erupted in questions. He continued over them. What is everyone's business is the fact that someone with access to resources and power, has illegally obtained sealed medical records from another country for the sole purpose of harassment and blackmail. This is not family concern. This is criminal activity, and I will be pressing charges. The cameras went wild. Mr. Kwan, are you accusing your own family? I'm accusing whoever is responsible, and I'm stating clearly, my wife's past does not define her. Her strength, her resilience, her devotion to our children, that defines her. And anyone who tries to use her pain as a weapon will face the full extent of the law. He looked directly at one camera, knowing exactly who was watching. Your move, Aunt Mira. At the Kwan estate, Aunt Mira watched the press conference with narrowed eyes. So he's chosen to fight publicly. Chairman Kwan stood in the doorway. You've gone too far, Min Young. Medical records, international privacy violations, you've exposed the family to lawsuits, criminal charges, and public disgrace. She waved a dismissive hand. It's nothing that can't be managed. He shook his head slowly. No, this time you've miscalculated. The board met this morning. Emergency session. Her head snapped toward him. What? You're removed. Effective immediately. From the company, the family trust, all decision-making positions, permanent suspension pending investigation into illegal activities. Her face went white. You can't do this. I built this company with you. I protected this family. You destroyed this family, he said sadly, and now you'll face the consequences. But Aunt Mira wasn't done. If the family had abandoned her, she would act alone. That night, she made a call to someone she hadn't spoken to in years, a private investigator who specialized in finding people who didn't want to be found. "I need you to find someone," she said coldly. "Someone from Ayanna Oladel's past, before Korea, before she cleaned up her story, the person who got her pregnant, the person she's been running from." The voice on the other end was professional. "That kind of search, international, historical, it's expensive. Money isn't an issue. I want him found, and I want him brought here, to Korea." There was a pause. "And when I find him, you tell him his ex-girlfriend just married into one of the wealthiest families in Asia, and that she has children. Let him draw his own conclusions." "Understood. Give me 2 weeks." 2 weeks later, the call came. "We found him. His name is Marcus Adeyemi, Nigerian national, currently living in Johannesburg. He has a complicated history: drug trafficking charges, assault, fraud. He's been in and out of prison." Aunt Mira smiled. "Perfect. Bring him to Seoul. Tell him there's money to be made. Charter a private flight. I'll cover everything." Within 72 hours, Marcus Adeyemi was on a plane to Korea, with no idea why, but willing to take the risk for the promised payout, and Aunt Mira began setting the pieces of her final move. Ayanna had been sleeping poorly. Nightmares of her past kept surfacing, now that the door had been opened. One night, she woke gasping from a dream where Marcus had found her, dragged her back, hurt the twins. Taemin held her until her breathing calmed. "It's just a dream. He can't hurt you. He doesn't even know where you are." But the fear wouldn't leave her. What if he does? What if he sees the news? What if he comes looking? Taemin stroked her hair. "Then he'll deal with me, and security, and lawyers. You're not that 19-year-old girl anymore, Ayanna. You have power now." She wanted to believe that, but she knew men like Marcus. They didn't respect power. They only respected violence. 2 days later, she was at a cafe with Keisha and the twins when she saw him. At first, she thought it was a hallucination, but then he turned, and their eyes met. Marcus Adeyemi, older, harder, but unmistakably him. Her blood turned to ice. Keisha noticed immediately. "Ayanna, what's wrong?" "Him," she whispered. "That's him." Marcus walked over, a cruel smile on his face. "Ayanna, been a long time." She grabbed the twins, pulling them behind her. "What are you doing here?" He sat down uninvited. "Funny story. Someone paid for me to come to Korea, said there was something I should know about you, said you'd upgraded." His eyes flicked to the twins. "These yours? Get away from us." He laughed. "Relax. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to collect. Your new husband, he's rich, right? Loaded? I figure you owe me. For old times, for what you took from me." She stood, shaking. "I don't owe you anything. You disappeared. You left me with nothing." He leaned back. "That's not how I remember it, and I bet that's not how the press will remember it either when I tell them my version. How you trapped me, how you tried to baby trap me." Keisha stood, phone already out. "I'm calling the police." Marcus held up his hands mockingly. "No laws broken, just a guy visiting an old friend." But before Keisha could dial, Taemin appeared. He'd been tracking Ayanna's location after her nightmares and saw she'd stopped moving at the cafe. He'd come immediately, and he'd brought security. Marcus looked up at the 3 large men in suits surrounding him. "Who's this? Your new boyfriend?" Taemin's voice was ice. "I'm her husband, and you need to leave. Now." Marcus stood slowly, realizing he was outmatched. "Hey man, no disrespect, just catching up." Taemin stepped closer. "You were paid to come here, paid to harass my wife. That's conspiracy and blackmail. My lawyers are already filing charges, and if you come near my family again, you won't make it to a courtroom." Marcus's smile faded. He looked at Ayanna one last time. "You really traded up, huh? Guess I should have held on." Then he walked out, escorted forcefully by security. Ayanna collapsed into a chair, the twins clinging to her. Taemin knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" She shook her head, tears streaming. "No, this is never going to end. She'll keep coming. She'll keep finding ways to destroy me." He cupped her face. "Then we destroy her first." That night, Taemin met with his lawyers and a team of private investigators. "I want everything on my aunt. Every illegal transaction, every bribe, every threat, every law she's broken in the last 30 years. One lawyer hesitated. Sir, that's your family. Not anymore, Taman said coldly. She stopped being family when she tried to take my children. Find it all. We're taking her down. It took 3 weeks, but they found it. A trail of illegal activities spanning decades. Bribery of officials, falsified documents, embezzlement from family accounts, blackmail of business rivals, and most damningly, the illegal acquisition of Ayana's medical records through bribed officials in Nigeria. Taman reviewed the files with grim satisfaction. This is enough to put her in prison for years. His head lawyer nodded. We can file criminal charges immediately. Do it. No mercy, no settlements. Full prosecution. Within 24 hours, authorities arrived at the Kwan estate with a warrant. Aunt Mira was arrested on multiple charges, including conspiracy, blackmail, embezzlement, and international privacy violations. The news exploded across every media outlet in Korea. At their apartment, Ayana watched the arrest footage on the news. Aunt Mira, in handcuffs, being led to a police vehicle, her face a mask of rage and disbelief. It's over, Taman said quietly. She can't hurt us anymore. But Ayana didn't feel relief. She felt hollow, so much pain, so much destruction. Was it worth it? He turned to her. You're asking if you were worth fighting for? She nodded, unable to speak. He pulled her close. Every single second, every battle, every scar. You and our children are worth everything. And I'd do it all again. 6 months later, the legal proceedings were concluded. Aunt Mira was sentenced to 8 years in prison, with all family assets and positions permanently revoked. Chairman Kwan formally apologized to Ayana and the twins, acknowledging the family's role in their suffering. Marcus Adeyemi was deported back to Nigeria and barred from entering Korea again. And slowly, carefully, Ayana began to heal. She enrolled in the culinary program she'd been accepted to 8 years earlier, the same program Aunt Mira had stolen from her. Every day, she dropped the twins at their new private school where they thrived, then went to class herself. Tae-min adjusted his work schedule to be home for dinner every night. They were building something new, something clean, something theirs. One evening, as they sat on their apartment balcony watching the sunset, Min-jun and Soo-yeon playing inside, Ayana finally felt peace. Do you ever regret it? She asked Tae-min. Choosing us over your family, over the easy path? He didn't hesitate. Not for a single moment. The easy path would have been empty. This, you, them, this is everything. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I spent so many years running, hiding, afraid. I never thought I'd feel safe. You're safe now, he promised. We all are. And inside, the twins laughed, building a tower of blocks together, unaware of the storms their parents had weathered to give them this simple, beautiful, ordinary moment. A childhood built not on secrets and fear, but on love and truth. As the sun dipped below Seoul's skyline, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose, Ayana closed her eyes and whispered a prayer of gratitude. For survival, for second chances, for a love that refused to break even when the world demanded it. And somewhere in a prison cell across the city, Aunt Mira sat alone with her choices, stripped of power, stripped of control, learning too late that love was the one thing money could never buy or destroy. The war was over, and for the first time in 5 years, Ayana Oladele, no, Ayana Kwan, could finally breathe. If this story touched your heart, if you felt every moment of pain and triumph with Ayana and Tae-min, hit that like button and subscribe. We bring you stories that cross borders, break barriers, and prove that love, real love, is worth every battle. Drop a comment and tell us, would you fight for love the way they did? Or would you walk away? Your story matters, family, and we're here for it. New episodes drop every single day because some emotions can't wait. Welcome to Afro-Korean Drama Stories, where two worlds meet and hearts collide. See you in the next story.